Welcome to the 18th International Conference on Mining Software Repositories, MSR 2021. My name is Gregorio Robles, and I'm the General Chair of MSR 2021. We originally planned to host MSR 2021 in my hometown in Madrid. Sorry, because of the pandemic, we are having it online. So we are missing much of the amenities and beauties of my hometown. Anyway, we are lucky because we have the technology and still we can come together, share our research, talk about our ideas, know other people of our community, and interact. And that's a little bit what is all about MSR 2021. Remember that we have a Twitter account here, MSRConf, and that we have the hashtag for the conference, MSR 2021. So please tweet around and tell us a little bit about your experience. What I will do next is introduce a little bit the conference, and the best way of doing that is by showing the team that has been working hard on it for the last 2 years. So as I was saying, I'm Gregorio Robles, and I'm a professor at the Universidad Rey Juan Carlos, which is a university here in the southern part of Madrid. And I've been very lucky to work with all those people that I will present next.
Hi, I'm Kelly Blinker from the University of Auckland, one of the program co-chairs for MSR 2021.
Hi everyone, I'm May Nagapan, one of the program co-chairs from the University of Waterloo in Canada.
Their task was to put a very, very nice program together, and with the help with over 100 reviewers, I think they've done so. So after my presentation, May and Kelly will talk a little bit more about the program and what it contains and how and what you can expect from the next 3 days. In addition, we have many other tracks to MSR. We continue with the tradition of the mining challenge. In the mining challenge, researchers across the community apply the mining techniques on a common data set. So this year, like in the 5 previous years, what we have done is we had an open call so that researchers could offer the data sets as the mining challenge. The one that got selected was the one by Miltiadis, Rafael Michael, and Charles. And they have been the co-chairs of the mining challenge. Another track that is already has been already being held at MSR is the data showcase track. The data showcase track encourages submissions of datasets that can be used to further advance the research in the mining software repositories area and in software engineering in general. For already 9 years, we have lots of very well curated datasets which have been used far beyond MSR. Mario and Baishaki have been the ones who have made this effort for this year, so thanks to them. This is a new track for this year, the hackathon track, which was organized by Jim, Odios, and Alexander. The idea of the hackathon is to provide the opportunity for participants to work with researchers on relevant problems and research questions that explore problems and solutions in this year in open source software development. So individuals came together virtually to define research questions, they formed teams and scoped problems, and then they applied mining software repositories techniques to work on them. The result are the papers in the hackathon track, and I encourage you to see the session on the hackathon to see what all the researchers have done, which has been a really nice output. We will have 3 exciting tutorials at MSR 2021, both for newcomers and seasoned MSR attendees. So we will have a tutorial on the PyDriller tool, we will have another tutorial on Elasticsearch, and finally, we will have a tutorial on crafting your next MSR paper, which is based on good and bad experiences of one of the most renowned authors at MSR. The tutorial co-chairs are Marco and Mingui, and we are very grateful that they have put this nice program together. For the second time at MSR, we have a registered reports track with the goal of eliminating underpowered, selective reported, or researcher-biased studies. So the idea is that with pre-registration, authors can submit an experimental plan, including a hypothesis and expected outcomes, and get feedback before the data is collected. If their proposal is chosen, then they can submit this paper to the Journal of Empirical Software Engineering. So the ones who have been on top of this effort are Tiwawende and David. Thanks for that. In addition, we have publicity and social media chairs. This year, we had a very big team, which is formed by Sridhar, Jürgen, Raula, and Malexas. We have had also a proceedings chair. Hema, thanks for taking care of that. The web was managed by Amjad. Thanks, Amjad, for your effort and being always on top of the things. And new to this year, we had a shadow PC. And the goal of the shadow PC is to train the next generation of program committee members and to expose these early career researchers, which are usually PhD students, postdocs, new faculty members, and even industry practitioners, to the review process of the technical track. This Shadow PC chair was a great success this year. We made an open call and had 162 applications from a wide array of backgrounds, and finally 106 candidates were chosen. Ayushi and Patanamon were the co-chairs, and Serge and Foods were the advisors. So many thanks to them, because I think this was a very, very nice experience this year. MSR is about community, and we care about the people. We want to be diverse and we want to be inclusive. That's the task of not only Shane and Gustavo, who are the co-chairs, but of all of us. That's why in the next 3 days, I ask you to talk to other MSR members, to welcome them, to talk about your ideas, to share your experience. Shane and Gustavo, they are in charge of several sessions to make this happen. And I'm looking forward to that. We have then the most influential paper award co-chairs, which are Tao and Thomas. They are the program committee chairs from MSR 2011. And this year, what they do is they select the most influential paper from that MSR, and they propose the award for it. We have another award, which is the Free and Open Source Software Award, which is selected among the accepted papers to MSR 2021. Eleni, Daniel, and Stefano have looked at all the proposals, and together with the committee, they have chosen one paper, which will be the one who receives the award. We have finally the virtualization co-chairs. MSR was going to be in Madrid, but finally it's going to be online. And it's going to be online in 3 time bands. We'll have the Americas time band, the European, Middle East and African time band, and the Asia Pacific time band. For each of these time bands, we will have one virtualization chair. Masood is the one responsible for the Americas. Maria will be responsible for the Europe, Middle East, and Africa time band, and Daniel based in New Zealand, will be responsible for the Asia Pacific. Actually, you will see now in the chat that's for this time zone we are now in the Asia Pacific, if I'm not wrong. So Daniel should be there. And finally, we have to be very thankful to Huawei because they sponsored the widening participation program. Huawei Canada offered complimentary registration to attendees of the Virtual MSR 2021 conference who fit into one of or more of the following categories: participants residing in low-income or lower middle-income countries as identified by the World Bank, or potential attendees who cannot afford the registration fees. So Huawei Canada sponsored this program, and we are happy to have over 50 new members of the community who can have the opportunity to join us and to experience the MSR 2021 experience. So that's on my part. I leave the scene to May and Kelly, who will provide an overview of the program.
Thanks, Gregorio. Now I'll walk you over briefly what our program will include. We have a very exciting program. We have 2 keynotes, 3 mini keynotes, which will be held together in a single panel, 3 tutorials, 2 welcome events, which are social events where members across the MSR community, whether it's your first MSR or your 18th MSR, we hope you come and join us at these welcome events. It'll be a chance to meet other members of the community and have a bit of socializing time. We also have 15 paper sessions. So these are where all of our technical papers and papers across all of our tracks will be presented. All of this is occurring across 3 time bands, and these time bands are 2 hours each. So everybody that's attending MSR should be able to have one time band that occurs during their normal working hours. So there'll be a time band for you to attend. Don't try to attend all 3 time bands. We do hope that you can still manage to get some sleep in this virtual conference world. All right, our first keynote is going to be by Nicole Forsgren, and she's the VP of Research and Strategy at GitHub. Her keynote is going to be on industry impacting research. She's going to share with us some tips on how industry and researchers can partner better together to have broader impact, and she's going to share some of her own stories of her own impactful research. Our next keynote is Leslie Miley, and he's held leadership roles at Slack, Twitter, Apple, Google, and the Obama Foundation. Leslie's going to talk to us about identifying and remediating biases in our data. And then we're having a mini keynote panel. So Rola, Pick, and Lauren will be together in a single session, and they'll be giving short keynote sessions on software ecosystems, software code review, and data ethics. And then they'll together discuss the overarching challenges in these areas. Now, our technical sessions include papers across all of our tracks. So we have 48 papers from our technical track, 16 from our data showcase, 8 from our mining challenge, 5 from the hackathon track, which is new this year, and 6 registered reports. Now, the format for our sessions are mostly blended sessions. So we do have a few sessions that are just single track, like the mining challenge session is all of the different papers from the mining challenge track. But most of our sessions are blended. So you'll see papers across each of the different tracks in the session. Our talks are very short this year, so the authors have been given only 3 to 4 minute opportunity to explain their research to you. So you can see these as more of a trailer of their research rather than understanding all of the details. And we hope that you can come along and ask questions and discuss these research studies that they're going to be explaining to you in their very brief pre-recorded videos. So the format will be that all of the videos will be played together at the beginning of the session, and then there will be a discussion and Q&A session for the second half of each of these sessions. Now, the format of the 2-hour block is that we have two 50-minute sessions in each of these 2-hour blocks. So this means that we have about 20 minutes in between these sessions. And this is to enable you to have a break. So feel free to go get a cup of tea or a coffee or a wine, and also a really great chance to socialize. So we're going to have lots of breakout rooms during these times. So once you've had a chance to go get yourself a snack or a drink, come back and join us in some of these breakout rooms. And the different breakout rooms will have different topics. So they'll range from informal, talking about coffee or talking about pets maybe, to technical topics like natural language processing or writing great mining software repositories papers. So lots of chance to socialize and meet other members of the community during these breaks as well. And then finally, we have 3 tutorials. So Alberto and Mauricio are going to talk to us about PyDriller, and they're going to explain how PyDriller works and how we can use it effectively to collect data. And Max is going to talk about writing MSR papers. So he's going to share some of his good and bad experiences of MSR papers with us and hopefully provide some tips of how we can write better papers. And finally, Philip from Elasticsearch is going to be talking to us about their full text search internals of Elasticsearch and how we can use those in MSR research. Great, and now I'm going to hand it over to May, who's going to tell you a little bit more about how we selected the papers from the technical track.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Let me now talk a little bit about what we did behind the scenes to select the program for MSR 2021. To give an overview, we asked for 3 different types of papers. We had 116 PC members who evaluated the papers. In total, we had 140 submissions, of which we accepted 48, which was about a 35% acceptance rate. The 3 types of papers that we requested from authors were research papers, practice experience papers, and reusable tool papers. The research papers are typical to any academic software engineering conference. The practice experience papers were papers from practitioners who would report on their experience in using MSR methodologies. The reusable tools papers were papers that were about tools that others in the MSR community could use to do their own MSR research. As far as PC members go, we had a total of 116 PC members from around the world. To be precise, they were from 28 different countries. 45 of these were first time in MSR. 25 of the PC members were highly experienced PC members who've been in PCs several times before. We also had 6 rapid response reviewers who were there to help us in the last minute due to any pandemic-related reasons. I'd like to take a moment to thank the 116 PC members who helped put this program together. In total, we accepted 38 out of 109 full-length papers. We accepted 10 out of 31 short papers. We also had 126 submissions that were tagged as research papers, out of which we accepted 45, and also 11 tool papers, out of which we accepted 3. The process that we used was as follows. First, Kelly and I desk rejected any paper that was out of topic. Then, we assigned 3 reviewers for every paper that remained. The reviewers then had a few weeks to go and write detailed reviews for each of these papers. They also asked questions to authors that they needed clarifications for. The authors then had a 3-day period to respond to these questions and reviews from the reviewers. The reviewers then saw the response, had to acknowledge that they saw the response, and then updated their reviews to respond to this response from the authors. Then, after thousands of comments in the submission system, decisions were made. Finally, there was one meta reviewer per paper who summarized the reason for why we decided to accept or reject the paper. In case of accept, the meta review also conveyed the things that were needed by the authors to be done for the camera ready copy. Now we'll go to awards, and Gregorio will start with some of the awards.
And now it's time to announce the MSR 2021 awards. The first one is the Foundational Contribution Award that goes to Bram Adams for his pioneering and evangelizing work in the field of release engineering. Congratulations, Bram. The second award is the Rickhold Early Career Achievement Award that is presented to Bogdan Vasilescu for his seminal contributions in the area of socio-technical behavior of software engineers. Bogdan, congratulations. The next award is the MSR 2011 Most Influential Paper Award. That goes to Dennis and Walid for their paper on how do developers block an exploratory study. The reason of this award is that the authors have made a large contribution for rethinking and redefining what kind of data sources are considered to be software repositories. Dennis, Walid, congratulations as well to you, and I'm keen to see your presentation in the next days.
And we have 3 Distinguished Paper Awards. These awards were selected by the program co-chairs based on the reviews by the program committee members of the papers and the overall quality of the papers themselves. Distinguished Paper Awards are given to only the top 10% of the technical track submissions. In no particular order, the first award goes to Andre for his paper, What Code is Deliberately Excluded from Test Coverage and Why? The next Distinguished Paper Award goes to Samuel, Jigyasa, and Robert for their paper, Escaping the Time Pit, Pitfalls and Guidelines for Using Time-Based Git Data. And finally, last but not least, our third Distinguished Paper Award goes to Alexei, Sebastian, Anna, Mike, Juliana, and Miltiades for their paper, Fast and Memory-Efficient Neural Code Completion. Congratulations to all the authors for our Distinguished Paper Awards.
The seventh award that we have is the FOSS Award. This was presented to Jean-Gabriel, Amanda, Katie, Milo, Laurent, and James for their excellent work on which contributions count, analysis of attribution in open source. This was selected by the FOSS Award Committee. The next award is the Best Data Showcase Paper Award. This was presented to Thomas, Cesar, and Benoit for their paper Duets, a data set of reproducible pairs of Java library clients. This was chosen by the track chairs based on reviews in the Data Showcase track. And the final award that we have are Distinguished Reviewer Awards. We had several dozen reviewers who did an excellent job, and we had a tough time narrowing them down to just 11 of them. Thank you, Olga, Tapajit, Daniel, Andrea, Kevin, Nicole, Rahul, Akand, Masood, Hema, and Amjad. Some of these reviewers are reviewing for the first time. Excellent job, everyone.
Congratulations to all of the award winners. Now we're going to hear from the hackathon track chairs to learn a little bit more about this new hackathon track that was introduced in MSR 2021.
Hello, I'm Audrey Smolskus. I'm going to introduce this 2021 MSR hackathon track, which is the first time MSR has a hackathon. So why do we need a hackathon? We like to explore new ideas, not present finished work. Second important thing is we want to identify what MSR researchers really need to do their work. And finally, track participants, and I think we achieved all three. The form of the hackathon was virtual. Started with idea team generation and ended with final presentations. was using World of Code infrastructure, which contains a very large number of Git objects that are fully cross-referenced, cleaned, and augmented to help research. And now it comes to our 5 final presentations that include project ideas, future plans. All of these, I believe, are continuing, either published as full MSR papers or will be published in some other conferences.
Now we're going to hear from the Mining Challenge track chairs, and they'll explain to us what the Mining Challenge was this year.
This year's challenge was about the life of bugs. Not all bugs, but those small and stupid bugs we all happen to insert in our code. The challenge participants used the ManySStuBs4J Dataset, a dataset of small semantic bugs. For example, let's look at this snippet from the dataset. Although the developer wanted to use MSSQL, as you can see from the comment here, the developer instead used and mistyped MySQL, which caused a bug. Bugs like this, collected in this year's dataset, are simple and stupid mistakes, typos that nevertheless affected program correctness, and we all make them all the time. They also go unnoticed by compilers, as these bugs cannot be found by traditional program analysis, such as type checking. The goal of the challenge is to better understand these bugs. Why and when are they introduced? Can we locate such bugs early? How are they fixed? Can we automatically learn to repair them? The participants of this year's challenge took on those questions. We received 12 submissions and accepted 8 of them. But finally, all of this wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for the amazing program committee that reviewed all the submissions. We thank them all.
As Gregorio already mentioned, we also introduced a shadow PC this year at MSR. Pick and Ayushi are going to explain a bit more detail about the shadow PC.
Hi, my name is Pick Pathanamontong Tanunam from the University of Melbourne, and together with Ayushi from University of Groningen, we are the co-chairs of Shadow PC at MSR 2021. And this year is the very first year of MSR that has the Shadow PC programs. Shadow PC is the programs that allows the early career researchers of ECRs to gain the first-hand experience about the academic peer review process. This program will train the next generations of the PC members as well as expose ECRs to the review process of the technical track of MSR. And these programs will also provide a great opportunity for the ECRs to be embedded in the research community. And to do this, we first recruit our Shadow PC members. And in this program, we target PhD students, postdoc, new faculty members, and industry practitioners who never served as a PC member of the main track at any conference before. And then we publicize our program via various social network platforms such as the Facebook and Twitter and SE World mailing list. And we also reach out to various SE communities such as the SEY, the SE community for women, and SENF, which is the community for new faculty member and postdocs. We also try our best to contract through our personal contract to the underrepresented countries to make sure that everyone in the world can take this opportunity. And we open for self-nomination during the 1st of November until the 10th of December. And I think we did a pretty good job because we have received a total of 162 applications from a wide array of backgrounds from 36 countries around the world. And based on these applications, we then select 106 Shadow PC members, and our selections criteria are based on the research experience, and we also look through at their motivation why they want to join this program. And in the same time, we do our best to ensure the diversity of the Shadow PC members. And from these 106 Shadow PC members, they are from 32 countries around the world, and about 30% of the shadow PC members are female, and another 64% of the shadow PC are the male, and another 6 is not preferred to disclose the gender. So I think we quite have a good proportion of gender here. And moreover, we also include many occupations as much as possible. So 75% of the shadow PC member are PhD students, and the rest will be the postdoc researchers and faculty member or industry practitioners. And for the rest, the unselected applicants, we did not leave them alone. We try our best to still find an opportunity for them. So 13 applications were actually upgraded to the PC member of the main track of MSR. Moreover, we also keep the list of 48 applicants who already got the PhDs and are willing to serve as a PC member in the list, and we share these to many conference chairs. And if you are a chair of any tracks at any conference and you are looking for more PC members, feel free to contact me, and I'm very happy to share the list as well. And for the remaining applications, which is mostly about the PhD student, the young PhD student, we are very encourage them to reapply again for the next opportunity. And about the shadow PC reviewing process, in this program, we use the actual papers that are submitted to the MSR main track as the paper for the exercise, but we use a separate hot CRP instance for the shadow PC members to write the reviews and discussions. This to ensure that the review decisions of the actual track won't affect the review decision of the shadow PCs. And in terms of the timeline, we first select the papers from the MSR main tracks who opt in the shadow PC program. We receive a total of 59 full papers, and we select 40 of them based on the diversity of the topics. And then the shadow PC members will join the hot CRP shadow PC instance, and then they will do exactly the same as PC of the MSR main track. So they have to declare the conflict of interest and also bid the papers. And then each PC member was assigned with a load of 2 papers per member, and they have about 2 weeks to review and provide a review for the paper. And after they submit the reviews, we have an advisor, which is an experienced researcher and experienced PC member, come and check the quality of reviews. And in the same timeline, shadow PC has to discuss about other reviews and trying to reach the consensus and derive at the outcome. And eventually, once we get all the outcome for all 40 papers, we also share the review with the author of the papers as well as the outcome. And during the review process, we also try our best to provide support for the shadow PC members. We provide some reviewing guidelines and some tips how to write and how to read the papers and how to write a good reviews. And we also have a Discord channel where the shadow PC member can share the tips and tricks, and they also ask any questions about how to write the reviews. And we also have a very active discussion and communication via Discord during the process. And from the program, each paper will receive about 5 to 6 reviews, and we have a team of 26 advisors who will check each of the reviews, and shadow PC member discuss. And from the log, we find that about 680 messages were discussed, and actually 400 of them are from the shadow PC members. So it shows that it's very active here. The acceptance rate is very similar to the actual PC members. So 19 out of 40 papers were accepted by the shadow PC. On the other hand, about 14 papers out of the same 40 are accepted by the MSR PCs. And if you look at closer into the consistency about the outcome for each paper, this table shows that the shadow PC and MSR PC actually have very consistent outcome. So 12 papers are consistently accepted by both shadow PC and MSR PC. Only 9 papers that had inconsistent review outcome. Next, Ayushi will share you about the feedback and reflections of our program.
Thank you, Peg, for presenting our vision and execution details of MSR 2021 Shadow PC program. Hello everyone, my name is Ayushi Rastogi. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Groningen, and together with Peg, I co-chaired the MSR 2021 Shadow PC program. To gauge the usefulness of the Shadow PC program, we conducted 2 surveys. We received 73 responses from Shadow PC members. 89% of the respondents believe that they now have a better understanding of the academic peer review process. 94% of the participants said that they have gained a new perspective of how actual PC members read and review manuscript. 83% of the respondents found the feedback from the advisors useful, and 98% of them mentioned that they will recommend Shadow PC program to others. We also received user stories expressing their experience. One of them mentioned that it was great to read feedback not only on their reviews, but also on other Shadow PC members' reviews. Another Shadow PC member mentioned that it was my first time seeing the work behind the scenes that goes into discussing papers and finalizing decisions. Yet, another one highlighted that there is not often an opportunity to learn to review, except if you are lucky and have a good supervisor and colleague during PhD studies. We are extremely pleased to be able to provide this opportunity to those who otherwise did not have access to it. And finally, it was satisfying to see that we could change the perspective of some early career researchers that PC is to accept papers instead of rejecting papers. We conducted another survey of authors who submitted their manuscripts for review by the Shadow PC members. Based on the 27 responses received from the authors, we found that 78% of the authors found Shadow PC reviews as clear and concise. 77% of the authors found the reviews constructive and useful that can improve the manuscript. 88% found the language and tone of the reviews appropriate, and overall, 82% of the authors were satisfied with the Shadow PC reviews. Quoting some of the user stories we received, one author mentioned that they were motivated to receive additional feedback and allow new community members to become acquainted with the inner workings of the conference. Another author was curious to see if both the PCs reached similar conclusion. We are happy to report that for 78% of the papers, both the PCs had same conclusion. One author mentioned that they used some reviews in the camera ready, and yet another author even went up to saying that they got better and more actionable feedback from the Shadow PC than the main PC. With enough being said about the Shadow PC members and authors' experiences, it's important to reflect on the benefits that Shadow PC program has to offer. For the software engineering community in general, this is our opportunity to make our community diverse and give opportunity to underrepresented groups. In the first edition of the MSR 2021 Shadow PC program, 1/3 of our participants are female, and we have participation from 32 countries. From authors' perspective, now they have more feedback on their paper, and from the perspective of early career researchers, the Shadow PC program created opportunities to learn how to review, become a part of the community, and understand the process, which is helpful even for their own research. And it's not just us. 96% of the Shadow PC members and 82% of the authors recommend that MSR should hold the Shadow PC program again in the future. The discussion, however, will be incomplete without highlighting the hiccups and how we can do better in the future. As much as we defined a plan for the Shadow PC members, we did not define clear expectations from the advisors. As a result, some advisors joined early on, helping the Shadow PC members in every stage of review, while others joined at different stages. In future, we can set clear expectations on the role of advisors. Also, some advisors were assigned paper which they did not review in the MSR main PC track. As a result, their feedback on these papers were less detailed in comparison to the paper they had reviewed. This happened since we had no means to ensure that the selected papers are also the ones reviewed by the authors. In future, if more authors opt in for the Shadow PC program, this problem can be mitigated. In terms of timeline, we closely followed the timeline of MSR research track, but this also meant that the Shadow PC members had to wait longer to receive feedback and authors to receive Shadow PC reviews. We also received suggestions for the future Shadow PC program. One suggestion is to have rebuttal round, same as the main PC, although we are not sure as to what extent it is feasible since it can be additional work for authors and perhaps even a diversion. Other suggestions were to rank the reviewers as an incentive. We can have Distinguished Reviewer Award and or promote the best reviewers to the main PC in the following years. This journey also made us rethink the future of reviewing. Would it make sense to have all the papers reviewed by the Shadow PC? The experienced reviewers can then modify these reviews for the authors. This will help Shadow PC members who can see how to improve their reviews and can reduce the workload for the main PC. We convey our special thanks to Kelly and May, MSR PC co-chairs, who helped us shadow the MSR research track so that we can provide as close experience as possible. Also thanks to Sergey and Foots for identifying advisors for the Shadow PC members. Also, a huge thanks to our 23 advisors who helped us train the early career researchers in writing good reviews. And finally, a huge shout out for the 106 Shadow PC members. This program couldn't have been a success without you. So if you are organizing a conference or a workshop and are looking for reviewers, feel free to reach out to the newly minted reviewers. For your ease, there is a QR code on the side to access the list of reviewers. And with this, I sign off. Thank you everyone for listening. Have a nice day.
Thanks so much for joining us in this opening and awards ceremony. We really look forward to seeing you over the next 3 days at MSR.
Welcome again to MSR 2021. I hope you have a great conference, and I'm looking forward to meeting you over the next 3 days. Please do not hesitate to ask me any questions that you have along the way, or even after the conference. Thank you.
I hope to see you around. I will be probably in the chat and elsewhere. If you have any problem, please let me know. I hope the best for the next 3 days.